Today, we will discuss the book Simplify. The simplicity principle is a business theory used to design products and services. Many outstanding companies like Apple, Amazon, and IKEA embody the simplicity principle in their products and services. Take IKEA, for example. Many people love shopping there, whether for the model rooms or the one-stop shopping for all their furniture needs. Most importantly, IKEA's products are aesthetically pleasing and affordable, with chairs costing only tens of dollars, yet of good quality. IKEA's shopping experience is unmatched by many furniture stores, thanks to the simplicity principle. Before we start, please click on the subscribe button below the video to stay updated. The book explains that the simplicity principle consists of two rules: price simplification and proposition simplification. The author discovered that since the 20th century, almost all great companies have followed at least one of these rules. Understanding this principle can help us evaluate company value, formulate company strategies, and better understand the business world. There are two authors of this book: Richard Koch, a famous best-selling author and investor, known for the Pareto principle, 80% of a company's profits come from 20% of its business, and the star principle, the best companies are stars with the greatest investment potential, and Greg Lockwood, also a well-known investor, who has worked at IBM and Accenture. In this book, the authors use their long-term observations of corporate growth and numerous case studies to explain the definition, scope, and practical methods of the simplicity principle in detail. I will present the essence of the book in three parts. Part 1. We will examine the two rules of the simplicity principle: price simplification and proposition simplification. Part 2. We will discuss how to apply these two rules. Part 3. We will discuss how to evaluate the effectiveness of the simplicity principle. Part 1. Let's first look at the two rules of the simplicity principle: price simplification and proposition simplification. Although both are strategies under the simplicity principle, they are different. Price simplification. What is price simplification? Simply put, it's reducing the price. The goal is to lower the price of a product or service as much as possible, ideally to less than half the original price, thereby opening up a much larger new market. You might ask if this is the same as a price war. It's not. A price war involves lowering prices, sometimes even selling at a loss, while the core of price simplification is redesigning products and business systems to reduce costs, thereby achieving lower prices without blindly slashing prices. For example, Henry Ford successfully made the Model T car, turning cars from luxury items into mass-market products. The Model T's biggest feature was its low price, but the challenge was maintaining low prices while ensuring quality. Achieving this goal was impossible under the original production system. Before Ford, car production was a manual workshop-style process, taking over 700 hours to assemble a car. After Ford invented the assembly line, it only took 90 minutes to produce a car. To keep up with this production speed, Ford even mandated that all cars be painted black because only Japan black paint dried fast enough for assembly line production. This change was revolutionary. Apart from the assembly line, Ford also contributed significantly to automotive materials. He was the first to use vanadium steel, an inexpensive, lightweight, and tough material. However, this material was only available in France, and American steel companies couldn't produce it, so Ford established his own company to produce the material. You might think that building a factory would increase costs, but it actually reduced overall cost because vanadium steel's tensile strength was many times higher than ordinary steel, making the Model T much lighter, reducing fuel consumption, and most importantly, it was particularly cheap. Overall, vanadium steel was essential in reducing the Model T's costs. What was the result of redesigning and building the production system? The Model T's price kept dropping, making it affordable for most middle-class families, thus opening up the market. By 1920, The Model T's price was only one-third of the original models, with sales reaching 1.25 million units, a 781-fold increase, capturing nearly 60% of the market. Ford achieved market dominance and became the world's most profitable car company by redesigning products and business systems to reduce costs and prices. Why does price simplification have such a big impact? Because substantial price cuts usually lead to exponential market growth. The author states that if a product's price is halved or more, its demand doesn't just double or triple, but grows by 10 or 100 times. Even Henry Ford himself was stunned by the scale effect of low prices, with the Model T's price dropping to one-third of the original and sales increasing by 781 times. Overall, price simplification not only wins market competition, but also opens up new markets.
Proposition simplification.
Now let's explain what proposition simplification is. Proposition simplification means creating a product or service that is more convenient to use, providing a better experience. Unlike price simplification, the product's price might not be low. In fact, it could be high. But this rule improves the product or service, bringing more enjoyable experiences to users. For example, many mobile apps we use now apply the proposition simplification principle. Take ride-hailing apps. You only need to enter your starting point and destination, and a driver will come to pick you up. Because of the user rating system, drivers pay attention to their manners and the cleanliness of their cars. Overall, compared to traditional taxi experiences, ride-hailing apps have made our lives more convenient. This is a new experience and a typical proposition simplification case. Another example is Airbnb, which helps hosts rent out a sofa, an extra room, or an entire house to people who need a place to stay. Although the business model seems simple, it provides a new living experience for both users and hosts, making it a case of proposition simplification. Proposition simplification's benefit is that it can open up new incremental markets. From the above explanations, we can see that the biggest difference between price simplification and proposition simplification is the market they target. Price simplification creates a mass market with possibly low profits, focusing on low margins but high volumes. Proposition simplification creates a premium niche market, which might not be large in scale but has high profits. Because the markets are different, the business models and resource allocations for these two strategies are also different. The primary goal of price simplification is to reduce prices, leading to centralized and standardized operational methods. For example, British and American low-cost airlines use similar methods to reduce prices. Likewise, KFC and McDonald's have similar production processes. On the other hand, the primary goal of proposition simplification is to provide a better user experience, requiring flexibility. For example, Apple created the basic operating mode for smartphones, which other manufacturers can imitate but need to innovate upon. Furthermore, these two strategies have different abilities to deal with imitators. Companies using price simplification are hard to surpass once they occupy the market. However, companies using proposition simplification are easy to copy and must continually innovate to maintain their leading positions. Therefore, if a company wants to adopt the simplicity principle, it cannot have both. It must choose one based on its actual situation and goals. How can a company determine whether it should use price simplification or proposition simplification? This book provides a series of tests evaluating a company from attitudes, market conditions, company goals, and other aspects to determine which strategy to choose. The series of tests is complex, so I recommend reading the book for more details if needed. To summarize this section, we have explained price simplification and proposition simplification in detail. Price simplification involves significantly lowering prices to capture the mass market, while proposition simplification involves innovating to find a premium market. Both strategies can bring substantial profit potential, but companies generally cannot adopt both simultaneously and must choose one. Part 2. Next, we enter the second part: how to apply the two rules of the simplicity principle. Price simplification. As mentioned earlier, the core of price simplification is to lower prices through any means necessary. Price reduction is the strategy, and everything else is tactical. If you can reduce your product or service price to less than half, the market will grow explosively. Achieving this goal is not easy, but there are reference methods. The book breaks this process into 9 steps, which can be further summarized into 3 aspects: redesigning the product, redesigning the business system, and scaling up. Firstly, redesign the product by cutting unnecessary features and keeping only the core functions. Many products have fundamentally simple functions but become increasingly complex due to market reasons. For example, in the airline industry, a major reason people fly is that planes are faster than other transportation methods. Speed is the core function of airlines. However, airlines started deviating from this core, focusing on comfort and a better experience by providing better seats and tastier snacks, enhancing user experience but straying from the core function of safely and quickly transporting someone from point A to point B. Therefore, the airline industry can be transformed using price simplification strategies. For instance, Southwest Airlines in the United States seized this opportunity by offering low-cost airline services. Southwest Airlines has only economy class, no first or business class, and does not provide free meals. To further reduce costs, Southwest Airlines' fleet consists of only one model, the Boeing 737, simplifying maintenance, scheduling, and training processes. Although this service does not offer a better flight experience, it successfully lowers ticket prices, attracting many customers who previously couldn't afford to fly, thus capturing a considerable market. Redesigning the product's fundamental purpose is to highlight its practicality, even at the cost of sacrificing some enhanced experiences. After cutting features, the next step is to cut unnecessary categories, offering only a few or even one option. Designing a universal product can significantly reduce costs, thereby lowering prices. The earlier example of Southwest Airlines illustrates this. In addition to cutting features, they also reduce categories. Although customers have fewer choices, they benefit from lower prices. This is redesigning the product. Next, we discuss the second method of price simplification, redesigning the business system. We already discussed the Ford example earlier. By inventing the assembly line and using new automotive materials, Ford reduced costs and achieved price reduction. The Ford example highlights an essential factor in redesigning the business system: automation. Assembly line production creates identical parts that can be repeatedly manufactured, lowering management costs. Later, McDonald's introduced assembly lines to the service industry, producing identical hamburgers, making McDonald's hamburgers cheap. Another key factor in redesigning the business system is engaging customers, involving them in the process. IKEA exemplifies this well. IKEA doesn't have dedicated product salespeople. Customers find products by consulting manuals and locating them. After purchasing, they transport and assemble the products themselves, saving IKEA significant labor and resources. Similarly, low-cost airline passengers carry their own luggage on board, saving on baggage handlers. They also pay for in-flight meals. Many passengers save money by not eating or drinking on the plane, which saves space for storing food. While it may seem like customers are compromising, this actually reduces product and service costs, benefiting both businesses and customers. After redesigning the product and business system, the third method of price simplification is scaling up. Once a company has redesigned its product with essential functions and significantly reduced prices, it must quickly scale up to occupy competitors' space. Some may argue that scaling up with low profits might result in years of no profits or even losses, but the first mover advantage is critical for price simplification products. No matter how attractive a product is, as long as there's market space, the company mustn't relax. Any lapse provides competitors an opportunity. For example, Coca-Cola has long been the global leader in the beverage market but lost to Pepsi in the Middle Eastern market. Coca-Cola's factory in Israel faced Arab countries' boycotts, while Pepsi seized the opportunity to enter the Middle Eastern market, rapidly selling products in every city. To this day, Pepsi maintains its market advantage in the Middle East, never being surpassed. In summary, adopting price simplification involves redesigning products, redesigning business systems, and then rapidly occupying the market for potential success.
Proposition simplification.
Now let's discuss how to implement proposition simplification. The core strategy is not price reduction but design, aiming to provide users with a better experience. To achieve proposition simplification, three conditions must be met: making your product or service more convenient, more practical, and more aesthetically pleasing. First, make your product easier to use. This attribute is straightforward but crucial. The more convenient your product or service, the more people will use it. What makes a design more convenient? There are 5 elements: removing unnecessary features, simplifying operation, speeding up usage, making it smaller and lighter, and making it more accessible. For example, when designing the iPhone, Steve Jobs first considered removing the keyboard and replacing it with a stylus. Then he thought about removing the stylus and using fingers instead. This led to the invention of the touchscreen phone, making it easy for even children to quickly learn to use the iPhone and play a video. Another example is the Walkman, a groundbreaking product by Sony. It was a small, portable music player that removed the recording function and large headphones, beating the then popular large playback machines and quickly dominating the market. The Walkman's decline came with the emergence of more convenient iPod products. Next is practicality. We also mention practicality in price simplification, where it involves reducing features. However, in proposition simplification, practicality means adding new features, offering more choices, and even providing personalized services. For example, Starbucks has strong practicality. Many customers visit not just for coffee, but to chat with friends, conduct business meetings, or use the free Wi-Fi. Similarly, ride-hailing apps are highly practical, offering various options like car models, ride times, and whether to share rides. It's important to note that while adding new features, the product or service must remain convenient. Otherwise, complexity will drive users away. Lastly, let's discuss aesthetics. While aesthetics is subjective, we can focus on cleanliness, simple design, and striking logos. Take Apple's products. Besides their simple appearance and operating systems, even the computer motherboards must reach an artistic level. Steve Jobs said, "Even though it's inside the box, I want it to be as beautiful as possible." Like a fine carpenter who uses good wood on the back of a cabinet, even if nobody will see it. Similarly, McDonald's maintains clean restaurants, restrooms, and parking lots, with employees wearing uniform attire for a neat appearance. These requirements are now common, but during McDonald's early days, cleanliness was its foundation. To summarize this section, we discussed the practical methods of 2 simplification strategies. For price simplification, you need to redesign the product, redesign the business system, and quickly capture the market. For proposition simplification, you need to make your product or service more convenient, more practical, and more aesthetically pleasing. Part 3. Let's discuss evaluating the effectiveness of the simplicity principle. While we have been discussing the simplicity principle, you might ask if there are successful business strategies that don't use it. Of course there are. The book presents 3 main strategies: refinement, invention, and discovery, which are considered the opposite of simplification strategies. I'll briefly introduce them. Refinement strategy. This means not pursuing simplification, but instead making products and services more complex. For example, in the luxury goods industry, take Patek Philippe watches, which have very low production volumes and highly complex mechanical structures. Training their own watchmakers takes 10 years. Their sales strategy uses scarcity and complexity to highlight the unique taste of a few high-end individuals. Simply put, in the luxury industry, customers do not focus on price and experience innovation, so there is no need for a simplification strategy. Invention strategy. This involves creating entirely new things, leading to a new market. For example, in the first half of the 19th century, cars were powered by steam, making them bulky and complex to operate. It wasn't until the internal combustion engine appeared that modern cars truly emerged. New inventions bring market benefits unrelated to price and experience, so this strategy is not considered a simplification strategy. Discovery strategy. This involves discovering new fields, such as Columbus discovering the New World, Rockefeller finding new oil fields, or the pharmaceutical industry finding new treatments for diseases. Similar to the invention strategy, when a new field is discovered, the focus is not on price and experience, so this strategy is also not considered a simplification strategy. Although these strategies are also effective theories, the author emphasizes that the simplification strategy is at the top of the business food chain. Let's look at the research results of A.T. Kearney. A.T. Kearney studied 12 companies from different industries that adopted the simplicity principle, including Google, Amazon, and IKEA, as well as Southwest Airlines, Charles Schwab, and the Boston Consulting Group. They found that the market values of these 12 companies maintained high growth. The slowest growing company, Ford, achieved a 10% growth rate, while Google achieved 135% growth, all remarkable results. Interestingly, not only did companies adopting simplification strategies achieve outstanding growth, but the industries that underwent simplification also saw higher growth rates. Then, A.T. Kearney compared 5 industries without simplification innovation to 5 with it and found that non-simplified industries had an average growth of 6.8 times, while simplified industries grew by 38.6 times. Industry growth is also significant. The author even concludes that although the number of companies using the simplification strategy may be small, their contribution to economic value accounts for most of the total economic value. If a company wants high returns and to maintain high returns for a long time, the primary strategy should be the simplification strategy. Whether this conclusion is objective is up for debate, but we can use this tool to observe and study a company's products and services to better understand its situation and growth potential. In summary, the simplicity principle is not the only universal rule in the business world, but the author believes it is at the top of the business food chain. Companies and industries adopting the simplicity principle have achieved high growth. Mastering this tool can better help us observe and study a company's situation. This concludes the book. Let's summarize. Part 1. We explain the meanings and benefits of price simplification and proposition simplification. Price simplification involves significantly lowering prices to capture the mass market, while proposition simplification involves innovating to find a premium market. Both strategies offer substantial profit potential. Part 2. We introduce practical methods for the 2 simplification strategies. For price simplification, you need to redesign the product, redesign the business system, and quickly capture the market. For proposition simplification, you need to make your product or service more convenient, more practical, and more aesthetically pleasing. Part 3. We discussed other common rules in the business world. Overall, while the simplicity principle is not a universally applicable success strategy, it is the optimal strategy for many companies, leading to high growth and sustained high returns, bringing great value to companies. That's the essence of this book. You can click the description below the video to find the link to the book. Welcome to read it. You can also share this book with your friends. If you like the content of Daily Book Dive, click the subscribe button to stay updated. Your encouragement helps us continue bringing book essence to our community. Congratulations, you've finished another book.